All right, awesome to have Chime on the broadcast. Now we'll bring back our casters here as we get ready for the final series of the day. I cannot believe that we are already at the end of
breaks,
week
baby.
6, guys. No breaks.
Full
no breaks on
speed
this party
ahead.
bus.
Let's go.
And we do have wheels on this bus. I did check, Rafa.
I have no idea what's going on with the other stream. Like, usually this is the point where, like, the streams converge. We get, everyone tuning in to our last series of the week, but we are like 40 minutes ahead of schedule with how quick some of these series have been, and excited to see if we get any long ones in this one, because FlyQuest, we've seen them play for a lot of scaling, could be an option.
Exactly, and FlyQuest going up against Team Liquid Academy is our next match. But before we get into that and prep the final games of the day, we got to do our due diligence and catch up on some of the fun stats that have been popping up throughout the weeks. Now, this is time for a Samsung SSD Fast 5, where we look at the most impressive stats to date in the spring split. You know the rules, guys. I'm going to pass it to Rafa first. Take a look at the list. Which of these numbers are jumping out to you and just blowing your mind?
I don't think anything has changed since last week when we saw this. I'm pretty sure fastest level 6 is still the same, fastest 100 CS is still the same, fastest mythic item is still the same.
Is that Stixay stat new? I think maybe fastest 10k gold has been updated.
That is like a minute faster than the rest, and same with triples
very
mythic.
fast.
That is...
But we commented on triples mythic last time, which is why I'm like, what do we talk about next? The fact that no one has been able to break that, though, is still quite a feat for triple.
I don't think anyone is going to break that.
Yeah, I still can't believe that Malice hasn't gotten level 6 ahead of 6 minutes, too. I mean,
really
knowing him as a juggler, I feel like that's the number he's got to be chasing.
Today's series was kind of tough. CLG made it their mission to starve him out of the jungle for the...
He keeps on getting Karthus banned. I feel like that's the best chance to hit 6 first,
Fair enough.
I'm still waiting for the day where we see like a Malice Lee Sin come out and he just like crushes him out.
What? That would be hilarious.
I'm just waiting for that day.
Do they play against FlyQuest still? I'm trying to. Do we get to see Malice Yuji at any point? We do. That's the last day of the regular season broadcast. Maybe we'll get like a Kiana Zed matchup.
I love how you have this on your second monitor,
okay.
man.
See, maybe like assassin on assassin matchup, because there's some assassins that you can farm pretty fast with.
That's enough of our hypothesizing of what future matches can look like. Let's take a look at the match that we know is happening today with FlyQuest Academy. We do get to see Yuji going up against Team Liquid Academy up next. We have the FlyQuest roster. Rafa, I know you love talking about these guys, so I'm going to pass it over to you to intro us. What can we expect from FlyQuest today?
Well, FlyQuest, yesterday we focused a lot on Yuji because I love the assassin champion pool that he does have in his back pocket, but the assassins, mainly the Kiana that has sprung up in most of their victories. I think he is 3-0 on the Kiana so far, if I'm not mistaken, Cubby. Please check me on that.
Yep. Of course, we just assume that Cubby has the answer.
9.4 KDA.
That's why I have him on the cast. Like, Cubby usually has the... Wait.
9.4.
What?
9.4.
That is insane.
Wow.
Okay,
he's been pretty sharp on that.
Okay.
No wonder it's been banned against him in like every game since.
Well,
all right, so we're expecting the assassins in the jungle. I like that, Rafa. That's all we need, honestly, at this point for FlyQuest. But otherwise, the team's looking good. Everyone's coming together, and the puzzle pieces are connecting. Their opposition on the Rift, though, Cubby. Team Liquid Academy, a team and an organization that we have a lot of expectations for in the Academy scene. How are we feeling about them right now?
Yeah, so it's interesting because, like, Rhino's back in. And I know from catching up with Rhino, he knew that he was going to be back in pretty much after the Academy games last week. So he had hopped back in scrims for this week, so he's at least somewhat ready. But I know with him, like, he wanted that 2-0 over CLG a lot. I know that Team Liquid, they were a team that they've had a couple roster swaps and moving parts throughout the season, but they were top 2 in Academy last year. And I know from talking with Spawn and some of the other players at TL, they really want to get back to that top 2 spot, but they're tied for 6th, and we have to start talking about the playoff picture. It's a good opportunity for them. A 2-0 over FlyQuest would mean a lot, and it's not going to be easy because FlyQuest, they are a different team in the second round robin. They've been playing so much better as a squad, and watching them come together, Diamond and Yuji work together, is something that we talked a lot about yesterday. We're hoping to see again today. I think this could be a fun series.
So it's important for both of these teams. Team Liquid want to differentiate themselves from the pack with a 2-0. FlyQuest, if they get a 2-0, they're in that pack. They now
Yes.
make it into that top 6 conversation at that point. So this is huge for them. But we've already introed a couple of the players from each of these teams. We have a specific matchup that we want to highlight here, or less of a matchup and more of just 2 players that we want to highlight from each roster. Bradley from Team Liquid Academy and Spyrax from FlyQuest Academy. Now, interestingly enough, they both used to be mid laners, but now, of course, Bradley is in the top lane. But let's start off with FlyQuest side, because Spyrax, as of late, has actually been impressing us.
Spyrax, this has been a huge turnaround for Spyrax. In the first 2 weeks, he seemed a little lost. He seemed out of place. His positioning in team fights wasn't that great, and he wasn't really able to contribute a lot in terms of damage output. But now, in these past couple of weeks, especially on picks like the Victor, Spyrax looks so much more confident. He is flashing forward. He's cleaning up kills. He's outputting damage, and he even finds proactive plays even when they're down, like in this game against Immortals.
Part of that almost looks like a Philip highlight reel too, but you're right that Spyrax is following up on the plays that are setting up, and that's kind of why we go back to it. Spyrax is the player we want to highlight today, but everybody on this FlyQuest team has been performing overall. And here's an actual look at the last time these 2 teams faced off against each other, all the way back in week 1 when Bjergsen.
Hold on. This is lock-in, man. We had to fly we had to fly the Bradley pop-off and LCS
All
lock-in.
right, fair enough.
As I think the other fun part about these 2 players, first split of Academy, but this was the premier collegiate mid-lane matchup. It was Bradley on Bethany University versus Spyrax on Maryville. These guys met in the top 4 of collegiate this past season. Bradley now being that role swap top. There's a little bit of history with these guys. 2 players we were really excited about debuting in Academy, a part of that class that was going to be a rookie this split. And I think the evolution of Bradley, we're still seeing him make some mistakes in the laning phase, but what I really like about him is that we're starting to see him play some more of these top lane champions really well. Gangplank is one that really comes to note. His Graves is also undefeated. I think that Bradley, as long as he keeps on kind of fixing these small mistakes that he's making in the laning phase, he has been huge in team fights. We know how good this player is, and really excited to watch him evolve as well.
All about surviving better in that side lane, the longer lane of top lane. Difficult to learn sometimes, but so far has been impressing us. But I am hearing that we're ready for pick and ban now, so that means enough setup for these teams. Let's actually see them in action as I pass it back to Rafa to get us ready for pick and ban.
And I really like that you mentioned, Cubby, the dawn of these 2 collegiate mids, at least a former mid for Bradley, now role swapping towards the top side of the map. The conversation for why Bradley went to top lane is a really cool one as well. We won't dive into it quite yet because I know you're the one that has more of the details than I do after your conversations with Spawn. And of course, what Spawn mentioned why when they picked up Bradley in the first place. But as we are getting into pick and ban phase, remember here, a lot of the focus for FlyQuest has been around setting up their bot lane for success. And Philip usually doesn't get a lot of resources against someone like Bradley, but there's been a couple of times in the last time that FlyQuests have met where Philip was able to not only handle, but also get huge advantages against Bradley as well.
And speaking of resources, I do want to dive into this draft. 2 bans immediately thrown over at Team Liquid, and not just any bans, 2 of the premier counter picks that we're seeing into Victor, which has been Spyrax, most played and best champion, 10 plays. He has 6 and 4 on the Victor. I'm wondering how early in the draft FlyQuest is going to take it, and I'm also wondering if we see a LeBlanc ban against Harry, as that is one other champ that Harry's done really well on. He's 5-1 on the LB, has just been crushing lanes, and I know that Team Liquid and Harry are not afraid to play that into anything that FlyQuest is going to throw at them.
The fact that Team Liquid have not taken any of the marksmen off the table means a plethora of options are available.
Yeah.
Caitlyn, Zeri bites the dust, but now Caitlyn, Aphelios, and Jinx all available, and with all the marksmen that you can pick at, FlyQuest recognize, you know what? We're going to grab Thresh because we want to make sure that Tomo, no matter which marksman he gets, we can pair up strongly with.
And I'm interested to see what the counter is going to be from Rhino, as Nautilus is traditional, but specifically Diamond and now Chime have been playing a lot of the Blitzcrank into Thresh, which I'm a huge fan of. I think Blitzcrank is the spirit counter. We'd love to see it. Instead, we're going to see the handshake, as it is the Tom Kench. We're expecting Tomo to answer with what we would expect to be an Aphelios, as it looks like FlyQuest will take the Zen. And we'll see if they take the Aphelios. They could go for the Victor, but I think they want to match that Lethal Tempo Marksman. That's what I'm expecting out of them.
Team Liquid have a choice here. They can, going into the second
LB.
ban phase, they can take the LeBlanc,
Yeah.
and then they can look to ban away the Victor as well, which would render a lot of the efforts that FlyQuest may have made to set up for a safe Victor pick for Spyrax. I don't want to say flush down the drain, but, you know, this was the choice that they made. It did enable them to secure things like Thresh Aphelios. But on the flip side, you now have to deal with a similar marksman composition from Team Liquid. And instead of the LeBlanc that, you know, we were potentially predicting, it is a secure for Armeo in this Heck Room.
So this gives Team Liquid a bit more scaling and team fight options, whereas the Aphelios Sin, a little bit more priority on the early game. So one thing, we saw Diamond and UG yesterday. They played this Thresh Sin combo in both of their games, had a lot of success early against Golden Guardians, but just were only able to convert that into one win. In the game 2, which was FlyQuest's best game of the split, they dominated that second game. So let's see if FlyQuest can emulate some of that success, whereas we still see FlyQuest throwing more and more bans at Harry in the mid lane. Orianna taken away, LeBlanc still on the table. It almost feels like they want Harry to take the LeBlanc because that is his best champion. And they just keep on taking away the counters to Victor. So maybe that's a matchup that Spyrax wants. Ooh.
To the LeBlanc ban from Team Liquid, were they suspecting that Spyrax was going to play it?
I think they're setting up for the Victor themselves. I think they want it. It's a lot. I really like the Victor Jinx combo because once you get Victor into the later stage of the game, he provides so much peel for Jinx and upfront damage to try and help get the resets for the Jinx. So I would not be surprised if we see the Victor taken for Harry and Team Liquid, and that's going to force Spyrax deep into his champion pool. Now, we know that Spyrax does have a deep champion pool. I'm just wondering what the option is going to be.
Team Liquid still not going to show their hand quite yet on the mid lane. I might have just been debated. They're flashing a Fiora pick for Bradley, but it'd be very early on in the draft to show something as volatile like that. But a better blind pick for Bradley is that Gangplank that you highlighted before the start of the draft.
His Gangplank, it's 3-0, and it's been really good. Watching him chain the double barrels, it feels like Bradley is a seasoned Gangplank player. Maybe taking some notes from the other top laner at Team Liquid and Bwipo, who very much is one of the best Gangplank players that we have now in North America. The response for Philip is going to be that Camille, so a lot of attack, a lot of single target cage damage that we have against what they're looking to target in the Jinx, but I love the Tom Kench into Camille because you can always eat people out of that Hextech ultimatum. So that is something that FlyQuest is going to have to worry about as the game goes on, and we're expecting to see a Victor here.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's not the Victor. And so now, what happens
take away from Harry? Oh, okay. Harry, different look, going for the Seraphine. We have not seen this out of him, and this is something that very much empowers the Hecarim and neutralizes the Azir in the lane phase. I really like this adaptation and draft from Team Liquid.
I don't think we have seen any other major region pull out Seraphine mid. I could be wrong on that. I don't keep up with the LPL.
We've seen some. I know that LCK, they've played it.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think it's a pick into Azir. Because if Azir does decide to dash in, you have two ways to cancel him. One with your Encore, the ultimate, and another if you have that empowered root. So it makes it more difficult for Azir to get that Shurima Shuffle combo, and you also outrange him as the game goes on. That empowered W can help neutralize his damage. This very much puts Team Liquid in this scaling 5v5 composition, whereas FlyQuest, a bit more lane dominance. They're going to be the ones that are trying to break Team Liquid early.
Armeo, we have seen, has been one of the junglers that has been willing to adapt to a slower playstyle through the jungle, allows him to come out on the map as a stronger mid-game carry once the resources has been accumulated through the first few minutes of the game. The other thing that I want to look at is not only Spyrax's ability to gain priority in the mid lane and how well he can work with UG, because this is a game where, like you said, because Team Liquid are favored as the game goes late, as FlyQuest, you don't want the game to go late. You don't want to take that gamble and risk. You want to try and break the map open early, and it has to be reliant on how well UG can link up with Spyrax and Philip. We already know that Yuji and Diamond have been showing great synergy together in the past couple of weeks, but I want to see that continue between the two youngest players on the team in Spyrex and Yuji as well.
And that is something that, talking with FlyQuest camp, spoke specifically with Diamond before today's games. He said, usually him and Yuji aren't really the focus, but they have been syncing up better. He's just trying to make better game plans as the game goes in, trying to get his team on the same page before they get into the Rift. This is one where, if you are FlyQuest, you have the opportunity to try and execute some set plays because you have priority early in the mid lane. You have priority early if you're able to play the bot lane correctly with Tomo's Aphelios. And I want to see if Diamond and Yuji can emulate some of the gameplay we saw from them yesterday in their 1-1 against Golden Guardians, where Yuji and Diamond worked really well to get early leads, both games for FlyQuest.
No assassins for Yuji once again, even though the Kiana was available. But I respect playing something more standard like the Xin Zhao. And I think the nice thing about Yuji is after Diamond being able to open up about the interview and Yuji saying, hey, you know what, I think these picks are really good, and being able to have more confidence in his overall gameplay has allowed him to still play things standard like the Xin Zhao, but with as much of success as the assassin deep champion pool he normally would have been able to flex.
Trade awards here for each jungler, as the red warded out by Team Liquid. Yuji did get the Raptor Ward, but neither jungler has time to reset to pick up the sweeper. So we'll see how each team can utilize this early information. And want to see, it looks like both junglers are starting on the red buff.
FlyQuest will be taking this one slow, but that early ward from Team Liquid spots out FlyQuest starting on the bottom side of the map here. Armeo gonna be on the cross half. And normally with things like the Hecarim, they look for the full clear. Should be ending up on the bottom side of the map. I don't suspect any early cheese ganks from Armeo either.
Looks like Armeo just going red to Krug, so going for that full clear, and Yuji going to mash. Which I'm wondering, it looks like attacking this gangplank looks to be the early plan. Philip did go for the Doran shield. That tells me he's going for this longer lane phase where he doesn't want Bradley to get that early reset. I know gangplank, the two timers he's looking for to reset in the early game. He wants to try and get sometimes we see an early Cole, but the big spike for him is that Sheen. So if Philip is able to break that with Yuji, that's big.
Armeo will get spotted on the chicken nuggets here. So far, nothing too exciting, although Bradley getting chunked out by Philip. Nice aggressive trade as he gets this crash in, but Yuji, because he is taking the slower clear, is not linking up for any early game dies and plans. Now, if we don't see anything crazy in the first 3 minutes of the game, then it really will have to come off of the next reset that Diamond and Tomo are able to look for. We've seen a lot of ways how other teams in the series today have broken up in the game thanks to when their support is able to get off the map. Right now, Diamond is a little bit chained because of this huge crash and pressure that Jan and Rhino have been able to build up.
And overall, this early clear, not getting in the face of Hecarim, I think that this benefits the side of Team Liquid heavily. As Armeo, if you are able to get to 6-4 free on the Hecarim, it is a pick that Armeo, these feasting junglers, it's something he's been so good at throughout his career. Thinking about him subbing in for Team Liquid's main squad, almost bringing them that spring split final. Hecarim was a big part of that. And the fact that he's just off to the races for free. I'm wondering if FlyQuest has a game plan on the second clear. See if they can get ahead of Team Liquid here.
That's what I'm imagining as well, because Diamond usually been the one that has linked up with Yuji, hasn't been able to break out in the lane quite yet, but a first reset from Jan and Rhino does open up an opportunity for Tomo and Diamond to look for a roam.
Yuji is up top. I think he's just trying to hover, as Armeo has a bit of time before his Krug spawn. And it looks like both junglers are here. Yuji's going to show.
Well, everyone's level 4 here. It is going to be a 2v2, and as soon as both junglers show, the top laners back off, and they succeed the wave.
It's okay. Philip should be able to pick things up. FlyQuest don't want to take that, as Armeo has gotten a base off. Yuji has not. So actually, Armeo's showing. That gets him ahead in the jungle, again, as the Hecarim. Very important for him. So this is more time where now Yuji has to reset. He's going to return to his camps that are up. And it should be an easy clear for Armeo as he's ahead of the curve. jungle timers are desync, means that it's going to be much harder for Yuji to get up in his face.
Still looking at FlyQuest to be the ones that pulled the trigger first in this early window, because we've kind of noted it before, we've teased it, but we're going to be a little bit more cognizant about it, that Team Liquid want this game to go late. And if FlyQuest aren't really making any plans or being able to enact and execute on those plans, this plays into the hand of Team Liquid, and they will comfortably just coast through the first few minutes of the game.
All about the 5v5 for Team Liquid. Now, I think the one out for FlyQuest is that Philip should be able to win both sides in the later stages of the game. And we'll see if Philip is able to maybe start to assert his dominance. It is a tough lane state at the moment. He's trying to get this crash in, and then base will give him an item advantage over Bradley. But Bradley does have that Sheen, so going to make it pretty tough for Philip, who's going low. And now FlyQuest. We see Diamond and Yuji working together, but Harry, he has to spot it out on a ward. He's playing real far back. No chance for any Shurima shuffles from Spyrax here.
Yuji and Diamond were waiting for the bite, but they finally peel back off, recognizing that either Harry playing way too safe or they have the vision completely swept out here. And Team Liquid now showing numbers. That's a death sentence from Diamond, but it's one that you definitely don't want to take. And the pressure that Team Liquid get off of that reset in the bot wave allows them to get the first dragon of the game.
Yeah, Team Liquid using pressure, bases, and item advantages really well to make sure that they're just able to dissuade FlyQuest from taking any of these fights. And this is big for Team Liquid, picking up that first dragon. They're looking for these 5v5s, these big fights around objectives. They are the scaling team. If they're able to get the first 2 dragons, that's going to make things really tough for FlyQuest, who's one out if things go late is for Philip to be that savior in the side lane. So we'll see if FlyQuest are able to break that, but still pretty neutral map state at the moment.
Team Liquid, I mean, we said it once again. If there are no early plans, no early moves from FlyQuest, this is just a straight up win, no matter how even the gold state is. Team Liquid just taking the opportunity to continue coasting through the early game. And I'm looking at Yuji and Diamond to try and find another window where Diamond can get out of this lane away from Tomo and link up with Yuji, find a proactive play that they can make, because we're going to stress it one more time. You cannot let Team Liquid just scale for free in this game. You have some scaling components on FlyQuest's side, so you're not completely doomed if it goes late, but the amount of elements that favor Team Liquid outnumber that of FlyQuest.
The 5v5 will be doomed. The side lane, not as much. That's really kind of the diagnosis. And I think that's why we're worried at the start, as that is the time to attack Hecarim. It is early, and it has not been taken advantage of by FlyQuest. So I'm wondering what their first move is going to be, as I think Team Liquid very content with how this early game has played out. And we'll see it if it comes. My guess is that it's got to be through Philip, or maybe through at least stopping this base bot, as Yon will be harassed. Nice to Diamond. That is a timer where now Team Liquid, Yon, that recall being delayed, this does open up a bigger window for Diamond to try and attack this mid lane. And you can get Harry early, as we see Spyrax really delivering the poke onto the Seraphine. Hecarim is spotted. This will open up Diamond to walk towards this Rift Herald. And FlyQuest, they have a shoving top wave. They shoved out mid. I think Team Liquid are going to see this Rift Herald. So this is a nice first play from FlyQuest. Good opener.
And Rift Herald is so good for a team that needs to break open the map early. This will allow them to get a crash. Oh, no way.
We're good.
The PTSD from 2021 Spring Jinx Super Mega Death Rockets taking objectives. Oh, Tomo. That is unfortunately a bad spot. Gets out with his life, but it is a flash cost.
Yeah, Tomo kind of in no man's land. Might have been walking up to make sure that Spyrax is able to get that wave in safely, but a good catch by Rhino, as that is a summoner spell down, and Team Liquid, their team's really good at punishing flashes being down. Hecarim Seraphine, you don't have flash against that, you got to be real careful.
So far, FlyQuest have found one good map play in the Rift Herald. And now all eyes are on Yuji in determining where he and Diamond want to park it and which turret they want to break open. So far, none of FlyQuest lanes have really been able to make a scratch, let alone take off a turret plate against any of these towers here. So they would have to invest a lot of members just to break open the tower. But Armeo, making his way towards the bottom side of the map, gets seen on vision here. And they know from FlyQuest's side, they don't have members in position yet to defend a dive, but Team Liquid is just guaranteeing that they can get this wave to crash.
And Diamond is fishing now. He's got to be careful.
Oh, huge death sentence. Rhino gets saved from the Devourer, and the onslaught of shadows from Armeo picks up first blood on the dive. Toma will go down knowing that they don't have flash.
Oh.
No one goes down in the turret dive. Yuji tries to equalize it, but can't get enough damage. And Team Liquid, do they look for one more? It's Yuji forced to use the Crescent Guard to stay alive.
We teased the flash being down from Tomo, and I love the immediate punish from the side of Team Liquid as Armeo, just him skipping over his Tom camps, getting there at the right time. That's a big win for TL, as now we get a second look. Easy peasy as Rhino, I love his positioning, just making sure he's right next to Yon, laying down those auto attacks onto the Thresh, making sure that he gets low, and Armeo able to get out of there with his life as well. That's an extra win for TL. Really good gank from them.
Team Liquid absolutely accelerating at this point in the game. We're not quite at the mid game where everyone can group up for 5-on-5s, but they have gotten themselves closer to the point of those 5-on-5 team fights. And as FlyQuest, they are running out of options. This window that they have to break open the map is starting to diminish.
The saving grace for FlyQuest is Philip in that side lane, as he is even with the gangplank. Once Camille gets that first item, that is a window where you can try and pressure Bradley on this pick, and you can see Yuji. He's sprinting up there. He has a blast gun. I think Philip's going to pull the trigger.
Hextech Ultimatum still available. Ignite already ticking down onto Bradley, looking for a barrel trade in the end.
Dead.
And yeah, he doesn't even need the ultimate, and Bradley will just have to run into the tower to make sure that there is no assist gold picked up for Yuji either.
And that's Shelly being dropped top too, so nice win for the side of FlyQuest, as Bradley does have TP, but he's not alive for another 18 seconds, so FlyQuest might be able to take first brick. They're at least going to get 4 points.
By forcing the first brick of FlyQuest, this doesn't allow Philip to be in the lane as much anymore and will give Bradley a safe place to farm, but Philip now has to use his pressure, his agency on the map to force plays onto the other lanes of FlyQuest, and you have Hextech Ultimatum, a great tool to lock down one particular player.
It's going to be about getting push in the side lanes and trying to use that to get a numbers advantage for FlyQuest. And yes, Hextech Ultimatum is great. I think the big play that FlyQuest is looking for is trying to get the scoop and score on Rhino when he has someone devoured. That is something that you can do on Azir, where you get the 2-for-1 special if it is an eat at the wrong time from Rhino. I think that's the big play that FlyQuest are looking for. Until then, though, the 5v5 is still really tough for FlyQuest to navigate. But we're seeing Philip make a surprise appearance here, Rafa. This is aggressive.
Death Sentence goes wide. Yon is able to sidestep this one, but it's 4 members here. Do they wait out the Devour? Devour has already been used, and Cannon Barrage from Bradley deters the fight.
And that's okay, because Philip, he's losing waves in the top side. Bradley was able to crash, get a free reset, and get out on the map all right himself. It is going to be the Divine Sunder on Bradley. We are used to seeing him go Prowler's Claw on the Gangplank, which is a little bit more damage on that build. So trying to take some more tankiness to survive this 1v1 against Camille. But that's okay. Team Liquid will take that trade any day, making sure that Bradley gets further ahead.
Philip? He still has ultimate here. He's going to go for it, knowing that Bradley might not be able to get out of this one. He still has flash available. Takes out the barrel as well. Bradley are going to flash at any point. Bradley realizes that he's already lost at this point. Philip winning the 1v1.
That was beautiful, man. He took out both barrels, takes out Bradley too, as I know we were hyping up Bradley, this rookie top laner, Philip. He's pretty much a rookie as well after he walked in late last split. Now action bot, FlyQuest.
Nice setup onto Rhino. Still uses the Abyssal Dive to get out, but enough damage has been done to get pressure in the bottom side of the map. Meanwhile, thanks to Philip getting the solo kill on Bradley, you now have all this pressure that can bleed in from Yuji and Spyrex being able to rotate and force Armeo out of the jungle.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Oh, Rhino knows something's up. They see him move into the bush, but he just walks right back in. Yawn, they're trying to equalize it. They force the ignite, but Toma has to flash forward. He needs to be able to equalize before Yawn eventually takes him down. Yawn's still trying to keep his Oh, whoa. There's a lot of damage. Death sentence. It lands.
No way.
Toma, did they get the damage down? Oh my god, they ended up trading anyway, but Armeo should have enough damage to threaten Diamond's life here. Does he go into the tower? He has Onslaught of Shadows available, but it's still not enough. Diamond will be able to walk out.
All right, FlyQuest, I feel like they are kind of feeling the pressure as well. They're more willing to go for these plays, and it pays off huge as Diamond even going to go to stop the base of Armeo as well. And this, because they spot the jungler bot, because they were able to invade Armeo on the top side, that's going to be a free Rift Herald too as we get a replay. What's going on? Rhino face checking. He's really low health, but I love the Lantern repositioning from Tomo. It got him out of the choppers, and that's why they were able to equalize this trade in the end.
And then just dipping back into the bush to dodge vision out from Yawn.
Really well played.
Beautiful death sentence from Diamond. Locks him down just for the last bit of damage. Tomo knew that he was a dead man all to rights, but being able to trade is so huge for FlyQuest when they are pretty much on a timer to still get things rolling. They're still down in gold thanks to Team Liquid's efforts earlier on in the game, but FlyQuest finally starting to see some signs of life.
And that's important because Team Liquid has secured the first 2 dragons. Now, it is a Cloud Soul. Pretty good roll, considering that you do have a Hecarim Seraphine comp, so really not that bad for Team Liquid, but I think this is... I'm interested to see how FlyQuest responds to this, because I still don't favor them in the 5v5 at the moment, but I think because the first 2 dragons are on the side of Team Liquid, they're going to feel pressured to fight this one. And it's going to really all be on Philip. Can he find the angle? Can he separate Tom Kench from the rest of his team, prevent that Devour, and find the one-shot? And then our team, Liquid are going to be able to just define the 5v5, because if they stack up, that Seraphine Hecarim is going to be scary.
Armeo now with the Trinity Force online. This is a battle horse to its full potential here. Still not as tanky as it will be later in the game goes on. Yuji has to immediately flash, sees a wild horse in his sights, and he can't take it on by himself.
I somewhat respect that early flash, though, because Yuji understands that if he gets chunked out, that objective's gone. He doesn't have time to reset and get back out on the map. That tells me FlyQuest really want to take this one. As Bradley's showing top, Phillips walking down, they're going to pressure mid. Team Liquid has to rotate to protect this objective, and this opens up the window for FlyQuest to take control of the bot side river, which they have done successfully.
And Philip gets a teleport out of Bradley early. Now he's going to use this opportunity to push back this wave potentially, or look for a reset. We'll have now a teleport angle. Can't look for a flank. Oh, whoa. Spyrex force. Oh.
That's it. They can't fight. The cancel on the EQ. That's 2 flashes burned by Armeo. That's the 3rd dragon going over for free to Team Liquid. FlyQuest will answer back with a mid-outer, but Team Liquid, I think, are still very happy with that trade.
FlyQuest want to burn this one down, but Team Liquid are going to force the engage. Spyrex got nowhere else to run, and they had already capitalized on the flash earlier. Beautiful cannon barrage. And there's the encore that follows up onto Yuji. Now he is in the middle of multiple members of Team Liquid, and Team Liquid have everything necessary to just run them down. Yawn has the resets. Philip tries to salvage the situation, but he has to bail back out. Diamond with the quick reflexes on the Dark Passage, but they're still on the wrong side of the map. They're still in the base and the map side of Team Liquid. They don't belong here, and Philip is going to try to equalize this one out, but it's a stopwatch from Harry that prevents Philip from being able to take him down. Armeo finally gets the devastating charge. FlyQuest members are left to scatter, and they will get singled out one by one.
And this is the issue with FlyQuest, that they don't engage as a team. They aren't able to find picks as a group. They just get ran down by Team Liquid. They're trying to trade out this mid-outer, get over-aggressive, and now get aggressive on once Spyrax falls. Look at Team Liquid push the pace. That isn't even a huge encore from Harry. It doesn't matter. Team Liquid have the numbers advantage, have the gangplank ult from Bradley, who, keep in mind, was never even in this fight to begin with, and it's just a wipe in favor of TL.
All the while, Bradley pushing on the bottom side of the map, getting a lot of turret pressure down and a lot of minions for himself, a lot of gold. You already said before, Divine Thunder was picked up so that he could be just a little bit on the beefier side and have a little bit more HP in his pool, but now he's going for a crit item, and this is... I'm pretty sure this is Collector being
He wants
acquired.
the dopamine hit. Yep.
Yes, sir. I mean, when you've got the crit and you've got the lethality, those barrels do so much damage, bro.
Oh, boy. And the consequences of that fight, that gold was allocated to Yon. He is sitting at a Kraken Slayer and a rapid fire cannon. He is going to do so much damage in these team fights, Rafa, and he has so much protection from the rest of Team Liquid. He's playing with a Seraphine. He has a Tahm Kench. There is a Gangplank to peel for this Jinx as well. This is a map that Yon can run.
Team Liquid have successfully gotten to this stage in the game.
Look at this.
Oh my goodness. Tomo has to back off. He used Gale Force as well. Diamond keeping him alive with the Dark Passage. And Bradley just picking up this wave and preventing a dive attempt with the Cannon Barrage. Team Liquid still doing what they can to minimize any attempts from FlyQuest to get back into this game, and they're doing it beautifully.
And Spyrax.
Okay. Nice
He's able to
attempt.
get over the chompers. Not going to clip the wings of that bird. We're good.
A return visit to Bradley on the bottom side of the map. Philip doesn't have flash, though, so he cannot get in range for the Hextech ultimatum. It is a flash earned at the cost of Bradley being able to get out alive. And the next dragon is not up for another 2 minutes. This is Cloud Soul on the line. FlyQuest trying to see if they can maintain pressure through the bottom half of the map now that they've burned the flash of Bradley. But it is just so difficult to fight against this team fighting core of Team Liquid now.
And FlyQuest, they have to do it again in 90 seconds. We have Cloud Soul on the table for Team Liquid. I think the big keys that made sure the last fight from Team Liquid was so one-sided, they bled the flash out of both Spyrax and UG early. Now, those flashes should be back up in time for the fight, and this time around, Bradley doesn't have a flash, so I think FlyQuest are still looking for this big engage, trying to find the angles for both Philip and Spyrax. If they are able to get a big scoop in score, they are able to separate that Tahm Kench from the Jinx. That's really the only chance that they have, but it's going to be so difficult going into Team Liquid. That's the second item Rylai's on Harry. If it wasn't hard enough already, now they have to go through all the AoE slow fields that this Seraphine's going to be putting down. It's really tough ask for FlyQuest at this point.
Such a curious choice from Harry, but it's one that will be another thorn in the side of FlyQuest here. And
it's pretty standard, but I really like it just because she does so much AoE damage that it is just so hard to get on top of your big carries. And we're seeing FlyQuest. It's 30 seconds before the Dragon. They aren't even sniffing at the Cloud Soul. They were trying to poke around this Baron, but that crab being taken will prevent any opportunity that FlyQuest had to sneak that objective away.
Now, FlyQuest almost pulling one out of CLG's book. When their backs are against the wall, sometimes you just got to go for the Baron Hail Mary, but Team Liquid not going to even give them a chance. UG still has Flash, gets the Dark Passage out. Super Mega Death Rocket doesn't do that much damage, but it forces FlyQuest to retreat.
And this should be free Baron going over to the side, or not Baron, free Cloud Dragon going over to the side of Team Liquid as more flashes taken away, more ults taken away.
Wait, they're still going for it. Now, FlyQuest, they have to start it. They are forced at their wits' end. They're going to try to burn this down. Armeo's still here. And you have Yawn, I believe, soling out the Dragon with Rhino. They secure the Cloud Soul. And now they get to rotate on over. That's a huge death sentence! Harry's gone! And now that you have a numbers advantage for FlyQuest, but you still have to deal with Bradley. You still have to deal with Yawn, and Armeo still has the engaged potential with the Onslaught of Shadows. Watch how they walk forward and how they make the entrance. FlyQuest have to peel off the Baron because the damage threat is just too great. A barrel does not clip them, but imagine if it did. FlyQuest thinking they're lucky stars.
And I love the positioning from Yawn and Rhino working together. Yawn go as far up as he wants because he has his Tahm Kench in his back pocket. It has pushed FlyQuest back in this really awkward top outer spot. That Azir turret is honestly going to save the side of FlyQuest as Yawn's continuing to poke around. He doesn't have Tahm Kench right now, though.
He walks back to the safety of Rhino. Philip now knowing that if he pops Hextech Ultimatum, it's just going to get equalized out, not even needing the Devour. They know their limits. Yawn still makes it out alive with 400 HP. They turn their heads onto the Baron. FlyQuest have to do something, but their engagement tools are limited. No shuffle from Spyrax. Already getting a recall in. He is resetting. He's looking for the TP, but they turn on to UG. Armeo surging forward with the engage. Encore right on top of Tobo, and the marksman is down. Team Liquid finding a double root. Rhino flashing over the wall with the tongue lash. Licks him down. Diamond also on the run. Spyrax trying to make his way out, but there's nowhere else to run for FlyQuest. Team Liquid get the ace.
And this 5v5 comp, if you aren't able to get ahead early, if you aren't able to play out sides, if you aren't able to isolate them, They will rip you apart as a team. That's exactly what Team Liquid is doing here. I know that Rhino's reappearance, he wanted to make sure that they were dominant. He was disappointed that they won COG, the top team in the league. They thought that they were playing better than that. And today, in this series, Rafa, this game 1, Team Liquid has put together a beautiful game plan and have executed it to perfection.
They have minimized the amount of sacrifices they have to make in the early game. Looking over this replay once again, everyone is doing their part, knowing their limits, pushing them to the very end, and just knowing when they can still going forward. A beautiful double E from Harry as well.
This Seraphine, it's a fun pick into Azir because it really makes it difficult for Azir as the game goes on. You get outranged by Seraphine. There's so much crowd control. And on Azir, your E is tough. That's your only tool of mobility. I have to pause. Philip.
Jan getting so much damage. The onslaught of shadows follows through. Philip maybe surviving, but only just for a couple more seconds. They are collected. You called it. And Jan just gets to rip through them once again. Nothing can stop this train from Team Liquid. However, Armeo does step a little too far forward. Nice stop from Tomo. Moonlight Vigil does clean him up, but it's still a 4-on-2. This inhibitor will go down.
I think the bot inhibitor is going to fall as well, as Bradley's been prepping that wave, and nothing stopping Team Liquid at this point. The consequences of not getting your side lanes ahead when the map gets collapsed upon against the 5v5 composition, it's tough to find those angles, and Team Liquid playing this one out beautifully.
Jan gets to just play with so much confidence when the Jinx is frontlining and just in the face of any damage dealer from FlyQuest, does not give a damn at all. You know Team Liquid are feeling absolutely good.
Second look at that one. Philip realizes that Jan is slightly split from Rhino, but when you go in blind like that and you don't manage to connect it, it's going to look tough in the back half. And FlyQuest do have to fish for plays like this, given how far behind they are, but that doesn't connect. Team Liquid extend their gold lead to 10K. 2 inhibitors are now down. And this is, I feel like FlyQuest, once you get out of those first 2 jungle clears on even footing, yes, you do get the early Rift Herald. Yes, you broke top lane successfully. But from there, that 3rd dragon, that really was where Team Liquid solidified their spot in the game. Just bleeding out those flashes one by one, staying grouped up. Really good gameplay by them. Not giving FlyQuest any angles to find picks or get back.
10,000 gold advantage is the reward for Team Liquid playing such a clean and solid early game, being able to dodge out and avoid a lot of the early windows that FlyQuest had. And now you get to see a player like Jan, someone who we have been watching since his Academy debut last year off of the back of the very first 100 Thieves next class of 2020, be a player that we have been looking for to show a lot of growth. And this game, Jan gets to play with so much impunity, but Spyrax looking for a hero moment. I love the aggression. I love the attempt, but it's just too much damage from the back end of Team Liquid. Jan just pulls apart FlyQuest one by one. Even Bradley gets the chip in as well with an attempted flank from Philip. Yuji and Tomo, they're the last ones standing, but it is Team Liquid all day, every day, ladies and gentlemen, because it is Team Liquid that will take home Game 1.
2 5-man Zinults connected from Yuji this game, Rafa. Fun fact. It didn't matter, as Team Liquid, man, this play has been beautiful. Rhino, he's going to trade himself out. He picks up the kill. Pat of those numbers. Bloodthirsty support at the end. Love seeing it as Team Liquid, man. I don't know what else to say about that game. I mean, once that comp got off to the races, no one was going to stop them. No one was going to shut them down. And FlyQuest really felt like they didn't have the answers as this game went on.
And I think one of the few spots in this draft where you could have expected FlyQuest to find a surefire advantage was through getting Diamond and Tomo out of this lane early, or finding a way that the more experienced bottom lane could have been able to find a bigger advantage against Jan and Rhino. But props to Jan and props to Rhino for not only holding that lane down, but really minimizing the amount of windows where Diamond could look for a roam, look to sync up with Yuji. And the one window where we saw that they were trying to look mid lane, they had already prepped a ward for it. Harry was completely safe. There's no way that they could have attacked that mid lane. And aside from that, it seemed like the only play that they had been able to make was through the top side, and that just wasn't enough.
And I mean, FlyQuest, that was the bright spot. They took the Herald, they transitioned it to kill Bradley, they took first brick, they even got a flash out of Harry and took Armeo's jungle camps, but that grouping up of the third dragon, that was really textbook from Team Liquid. Just Armeo's ability to force out 2 flashes before the fight,
Yes.
one with an ultimate, one with interrupting that Azir EQ. After that, they had to sack the dragon. They felt pressured to trade for the mid-outer. And once you start giving Jinx some gold in that composition, we saw how far up Yawn got to play, asserting his dominance in this game on the Rift. Really good stuff coming out of TL.
Just absolutely wonderful stuff from the side of Team Liquid. We're going to be taking a quick break. When we come back, it will be the conclusion of not only this series between FlyQuest and Team Liquid, but also Week 6 of Academy. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.